Maya is a witch. She's been looking for her missing cat all morning. Can you help her? The cat is over here. Maya is heading to her best friend Sandra. She brings her something delicious. It looks square from the outside, but it looks round when opened. Also, it looks like a triangle when taken out. Can you guess the name of the food? It's a pizza. On the way, Maya decides to take a new route. She finds herself in the middle of an unfamiliar street and sees some cute little houses. All except 2 are blue. Also, all except 2 houses are red and all except 2 are purple. Can you figure out how many houses of each color are present on that street? Let's focus on the first 2 statements. We can fairly assume that 2 houses are not red and 2 houses are not blue. Now, one of those houses that are not red can be blue. Similarly, one of the non-blue houses can be red. If we remember the third statement, that all except 2 houses are purple, we can conclude that the street has only 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 purple house. Maya enters Sandra's kitchen. Can you count the exact number of frogs in this location? "13. This one is just a picture. Sandra shows Maya 2 pictures of her sisters. Ella lives alone, while Elsa lives with her fiancé. Can you guess which one is Elsa? It's the first lady. She has 2 towels in her bathroom, while Ella only has 1. Maya asks Sandra, can you make the sum of 60 by using 3 times the same number? Sandra replies, easy, 20 plus 20 plus 20. But there's one more way to do so. Can you figure it out? The other way is 55 plus 5. Maya needs help in her magic shop, so she invites Harry for a job interview. When Harry arrives, he looks pretty nervous, so Maya offers him some hot coffee. She puts the cup in front of him and asks, "What's before you?" Harry replies, "Tea." After hearing the answer, Maya hires this candidate immediately. Can you guess why? If the answer was coffee, Maya would never have asked such an easy question. She meant the alphabet U, the letter T, comes before U. That's why Maya is impressed by Harry's answer. Harry shows Maya 3 cards from a standard deck face down. He says, to the left of the queen, there are 1 or 2 jacks. To the right of the jack are 1 or 2 jacks. To the right of the club, there are 1 or 2 diamonds. To the left of the diamond are 1 or 2 diamonds. Can you guess what the 3 cards are? The Jack of Clubs, Jack of Diamonds, and Queen of Diamonds, or Jack of Diamonds, Jack of Clubs, and Queen of Diamonds. Maya tells Harry, "Let me show you some focus pocus too. I can make the number 1 disappear by adding something to it. Can you guess how?" She needs to add a letter G before 1, and it will be gone. Simple. Maya leaves her magic shop to get some lunch. In a while, she returns and finds Harry unconscious on the floor in the storage room. She calls doctors and questions 3 persons standing nearby. Billy says, I was checking out the shelf with love potions when I heard weird noises from the storage. But I didn't bother. I thought Harry just dropped some stuff. Scarlet says, I came here to buy the missing ingredient for my revenge potion. I don't have time for this. And Bella says, I came here for red candles, but the seller was absent. Can you guess what happened here? Take a look at Scarlet's recipe. The missing ingredient is a spider. Harry got bitten by a venomous spider when he tried to get it out of this broken jar. There's a tiny bite on his right arm. Next Sunday, Maya receives a call from Sandra at 7 a.m. Sandra is very excited because she had found a recipe for an immortality potion in her library. Maya arrives at Sandra's house at 10 a.m. and finds her lying unconscious on the floor. All her books are gone. Maya calls the police. The detective arrives immediately and questions 3 suspects. Sandra's husband, Frank, says, I'm a school teacher. I haven't been home all morning because I had 4 classes on my schedule. Shelley, the housekeeper, says, I had a day off and spent time with my boyfriend. And Bob, the gardener, says, I've been planting roses in the backyard all morning. I haven't even entered the house yet. After hearing all 3 stories, the detective knows exactly who's a liar. What about you? Frank is lying. He said he'd been at school, but schools are closed on Sundays. Thankfully, Maya saved a screenshot with the recipe on her phone. Now she's making a potion for Sandra. Unfortunately, the last 4 ingredients in the recipe are encoded. Here's the first one. It's a fruit that is always sad. Can you figure it out? It's a blueberry. Also, she needs to add something that has an ear but cannot hear. Any ideas what it might be? Corn. The next one is a cheese that is made backward. Eat 'em. And the final ingredient is a room that you can eat. Maya needs to add a mushroom. Maya is visiting Sandra in the hospital. She gives her the magic potion, and Sandra gets well immediately. On the way back, Maya meets 3 doctors in the lobby, but only one of them isn't fake. Can you guess who? The first doctor is wearing a dirty coat, but it doesn't prove that he's a fake. Meanwhile, this handsome bearded doctor has a picture of a woman on his badge, which means that he had stolen someone else's pass. As for the third person, she's wearing colorful nail extensions, which is against common sanitary rules, so she can't be a doctor. Maya runs away from the imposters and finds herself in a creepy abandoned part of the hospital. Finally, she sees 3 doors, but each door is hiding some danger. There's a werewolf hiding behind the first door. There's a wicked wizard waiting for Maya behind the second door. And there's a magical portal leading to a black hole behind the third door. Can you help Maya choose the safest option to escape? She should choose the first door. Look out the window. It's a new moon. Werewolves are only dangerous on a full moon. Maya escapes successfully and calls her sister Wendy, who lives in a village. Wendy says, "Come over and we'll figure it out." Maya boards a train. Maya notices these 4 passengers. One of them is a famous thief. Can you guess who? This elegant lady is a thief. The first guy is reading about her crimes in his newspaper. Finally, Maya arrives at Wendy's house. She spots one odd detail about this place right away. Can you see it too? It's too risky to leave the iron in such a dangerous position. Maya enters the living room and spots two weird details. What about you? Take a closer look at the calendar. There's no June 31st. Also, this chair only has 3 legs. Maya starts to suspect that Wendy is under a spell. To test her logical thinking, she offers her this riddle. There are 8 brothers that look alike. They're considered to be weak, yet they protect the king in every battle. If they move ahead, they never turn back. Who are they? Wendy failed to crack this riddle. What about you? The 8 brothers are pawns in the chess game. After a long search, Maya finds a spell that will break all black magic, but it's locked in this safe that requires a 7-digit code. Can you help Maya open the safe? There are exactly 7 books on the shelf above the safe. It's a hint. Each book has a Roman numeral on its spine. So, the code is 2113542.
Phantoms and other fantastic creatures! You're not impressed. All your life you've been running a myth-busting blog. It's gotten pretty popular recently. Abandoned hospitals, creepy hotel rooms, haunted apartments, cursed houses. You spend a night in all of them and take a bunch of videos to prove that all those scary stories are nothing more than fairy tales. One day, one of your fans sends you a tip about a sinister, dark castle located on a rocky cliff near the coast of a raging ocean. She says this place is the scariest in the world, but you're not intimidated easily. You grab your phone and head on over. Get ready to test your courage and resourcefulness. Count how many answers you get right and find out what your score means at the end of the video. Since it's your first night, you decide to spend it in a small village. It's right by the scary castle. Usually, people can't wait to tell you how freaky this or that place is. But in this village, everyone keeps silent. You ask one of the residents to tell you something about the castle, but she responds with nothing. Did she not want to speak to you? No, that's not it. She's afraid of answering. How do you know that? I'll give you 6 seconds to figure it out. Look at her hand. It says "Runaway" on her forearm. To reach the castle, you first need to walk through a small forest. At the edge of it, you see 3 roads and 3 signs. The first sign shows a wolf, the second, a bear, and the third, a vampire. Which road should you choose? You have 5 seconds. Quick, make a decision. You don't believe in vampires, remember? But bears and wolves, those are real. Besides, it's morning, and if vampires were real, they'd be steering clear of the sunlight. You make your way through the dense thickets of the forest and record what's happening on your phone. You notice a hut. Yeah, I bet a vampire lives here, you laugh to yourself. Ha ha. Still, you decide to check it out. Your readers love that kind of stuff. You go into the dark hut and turn on the light on your phone. Cobwebs cover everything. The curtains are drawn. Some candles are out on the table. Ooh, a key. You grab it and put it inside your pocket. Before leaving, you notice a large wooden box in the corner and hear snoring coming from inside. You're scared out of your mind right now. And just then, the snoring stops. A vampire climbs out of the box. Oh, this is bad. Maybe you can get away before it realizes what's going on. You try to get outside, but the door's locked. Oh, the key. Yes. No, it doesn't work. What should you do? Quick, you don't have much time. Just open the curtains. If it really is a vampire, it should be afraid of the sunlight. It worked! The vampire jumps back into the box to escape the light, and you make a break for it through the window. Finally, you reach the edge of the forest and get your first glimpse of the castle. In front of you is a large gate. You push on it. It swings open. As soon as you're in the courtyard, you realize you are not alone. 5 other people are there. They're just standing around. No one's talking to each other. You want to know if they've heard anything about the owner of that creepy hut in the woods, so you walk a little closer. But you get a strange feeling deep in your stomach. Something's wrong with these people. You can't believe your eyes, but it looks like some of them are actual zombies. How many zombies are there? You have 10 seconds. Look closely. There are 2 of them. That guy over there doesn't have an ordinary arm. It's all bones, like a skeleton. And that woman in sunglasses, she's holding someone's eyes in her hand. Are those her eyes? You approach a guy who seems almost normal, but he doesn't look at you. He just keeps staring at the sky. It's a little scary. Okay, time to venture into the castle. As soon as you open the door, you hear music. It's a waltz, and it's coming from the main hall. Several couples are dancing around in 18th century costumes. Yikes. You decide to try and blend in by hitting the dance floor yourself. Well, after a few seconds, you look around and your face turns pale. These people are phantoms. How'd you figure it out? Look carefully at the details. You have 5 seconds. Look down. None of the dancers are touching the floor. They're just floating along. You run out of the hall, climb the wide stairs, and run into a random room. You lock the door and breathe heavily. Oh, you're starting to have serious doubts about all this mystical stuff. Maybe it does exist. But how is that even possible? A ray of sunlight suddenly shines on a luxurious bed with beautiful linen. Then it hits you. You're tired. Oh, you'll just lie down on the edge of the bed, and a 10-minute nap will really help get your head on straight. As soon as you close your eyes, though, you hear a rustling in the sheets right next to you. Then you feel a cold hand on your neck. You keep your eyes sealed shut. You're way too afraid to open them, but you pinch yourself to make sure you're not dreaming. The fingers on your neck start squeezing ever so slightly. Oh, that's it. You bolt out of bed. As fast as you can, you whip out your phone and try to record the whatever it was. But there's nothing. Only an empty bed. Were you sleeping, or was it real? You noticed something. Phew. Oh, it's just a bad dream after all. What did you notice? I'll give you 6 seconds. The sun was shining when you lay down. Now, it's the full moon that's shining. You were out cold for a while. You leave the bedroom and walk down a long hallway lit by torches and candles. The silence is broken only by the churning of your stomach. Guess you're hungry. Well, there's a heavy wooden door in front of you, and it's open just a crack. The pleasant smell of food starts wafting its way into the hallway. You go in and find a huge table, decked out with real silverware and porcelain. Oh, the food looks delicious. There's caviar, lobster, fruits, vegetables, different meats, plenty of desserts. Several people are sitting around the table, and as you approach them, they turn around to look at you. They're all vampires! How did you know? I'll give you 5 seconds to figure it out. The food on the table is untouched. The vampires have been waiting for their most important dish. You run. You make it back out into the hallway, then dart down a dark corridor. The vampires are chasing you. They're screaming. You find 3 doors at the end of the corridor. The first one has a fire symbol on it. The second has a snake symbol. And the third just says, exit. You try to open it, but it's locked. The vampires are closing in. What are you gonna do? You have 4 seconds before you become vampire food. Try the key you found in the vampire's hut. Great! It fits! You run out into the courtyard and lock the door behind you. The moon is hidden behind some thick white clouds. You sneak through the courtyard and open the back gate of the castle. Next to the gate is a sign with an image of a werewolf on it. You walk off as quietly as possible. After about 5 minutes, you see a long bridge. There's a beautiful woman standing at the other end. She waves to you and motions for you to come closer. But something's bothering you. Could she be a werewolf? So, you can either cross the bridge or head back to the castle. What can you do to find out if she really is a werewolf? You have 10 seconds for this one. Good luck. Wait until the moon appears from behind the clouds. Your intuition was right. As soon as the moonlight falls on the woman, she begins to turn into a werewolf. Still kind of cute though. You run back into the castle grounds and close the gate behind you. Okay, reality check. You're in the courtyard. Vampires are inside the castle, a werewolf is waiting outside, and zombies are approaching. You're trapped. Why did you even come to such a scary castle? You pull out your phone and start recording a farewell video. You thank your followers for their views and comments. Thanks for subscribing. You admit that mystical creatures do exist and promise that you'll never set foot in a place like this ever again if you survive. The zombies are closing in and the werewolf is breaking down the gate. Oh, awesome. Your fear is gone and you realize that this whole thing is staged. It's all a show. How'd you figure it out? Watch the farewell video again and find the proof that everything is fake. I'll give you 10 seconds to spot the clues. Do you see that big guy with a camera behind you in the tower window? The zombies stop growling. They scream, "Surprise!" They're not zombies. They're just wearing a whole ton of makeup. The gate opens and the woman takes off her werewolf costume and smiles. The vampires come out of the castle, carrying their fake fangs. This whole thing was set up by your fans. They wanted to scare you, and it worked. You're angry at them, but so happy that you're still alive. Okay, let's see how many you got right. 1 to 3 points. It'll be difficult for you to act in stressful situations. Watch more riddles and train yourself to be calm and focused. 4 to 6 points. Something really bad has to happen for you to lose control. Phantoms don't seem to scare you at all that much. 7 to 10 points. You don't even know what fear is, but you do know how to come out victorious in any situation. You have one question for your fans. How did they create that floating effect for those dancers? That was awesome. Your fans look at each other. What? What are you talking about? What do you mean? There were no dancers. A slight chill runs down your back.
Now Tyler runs an amusement park. He's having a job interview with these 3 clowns, but only one of them is not dangerous. Can you help Tyler hire the right person? The first clown doesn't cast a shadow, so he's probably a ghost. And the third clown is stealing money from the second clown's pocket, so he's a thief. Therefore, Tyler should hire the second clown. Peter and Holly are having their first date in the amusement park. They decide to ride the Tunnel of Love. At some point, it gets pretty dark inside the tunnel, and after the ride, Peter finds out that his wallet is gone. Tyler calls the police and questions 3 customers from nearby swan boats. Bella says, "I'm sorry, I filmed a video on my phone. I didn't look around." Tim says, "No way, bro, my wallet is gone too." And Lisa replies, "In the dark, I felt someone touching my bag. I pushed the attacker away." Can you spot the thief? It's Holly. Take a look at her bag. There are 2 wallets inside it, and here's one more in her pocket. Tyler receives a curious delivery. It has streets, but no pavement. It has cities, but no buildings. It has forests, but no trees. Also, it has rivers, yet no water. Can you guess what it is? It's a map. There are 3 bakeries in the park. Wendy has exactly $100 and she needs to buy 100 cupcakes. She must spend the money entirely. Also, Wendy must buy at least 1 cupcake from each bakery. The first shop is selling each cupcake at 5 cents. The second one is selling them at $1, and the third at $5. How many cupcakes should Wendy buy from each bakery? To fit the budget, Wendy should buy 80 cupcakes from the first shop, 1 cupcake from the second shop, and 19 cupcakes from the third shop. Brian decides to take a ride on the Ferris wheel. On his way up, someone suddenly throws ice cream right in his face. When the trip is over, he interviews 3 suspects. Zoe says, "I don't eat ice cream. I'm on a sugar-free diet." Peter says, "I didn't see anything, bro. I'm terrified of heights, so I kept my eyes closed the whole ride." And Fred says, "Sorry, I was streaming a video, so I didn't look around." Who is lying? Peter. If he's terribly afraid of heights, why would he ride the Ferris wheel? Brian is wandering around the park. Suddenly, someone approaches him from the back and grabs his phone. The thief is wearing a mask, so Brian can't see his face. The thief runs into a cafe and hides among the customers. Can you help Brian spot the criminal? It's this woman. She's hiding Brian's wallet in the menu. Tyler is walking down the street after a long work day. Suddenly, he pushes this lady. Can you guess why? Tyler saved her from getting hit by a car. Tyler keeps on walking and sees a group of ducks crossing the road. Can you count the exact number of ducks? $16. Tyler enters a jewelry shop where his girlfriend Mary works as a saleswoman. Unfortunately, he finds her unconscious on the floor. He calls doctors immediately. They figure out that Mary was poisoned. Tyler questions 3 witnesses. The cleaning lady says, "I was cleaning silver jewelry in the storage room." The guard said, "I was having a lunch break outdoors and talking with my friend." And the boss says, "I had a business meeting in another part of the city." Can you help Tyler figure out who poisoned Mary? Take a look at the hint that Mary left on the wall. It literally says that the boss did it. A few days later, Mary gets better and decides to prank Tyler. She brings 3 similar boxes to his house. There are 2 delicious cheesecakes in 2 boxes, and the remaining box contains dog food. Let's spin the boxes back and forth. Can you find the pranked box now? Aha! The second one. Tyler gets an urgent call from his assistant. Someone painted graffiti at a vegan restaurant in his park. Tyler interrogates 3 employees. The cleaner says, "I had an urgent call from my mother, so I went outside the restaurant to the backyard. When I returned, the graffiti was already there." The waitress says, "I was taking an order. Suddenly, I looked out the window and saw a person in a black hoodie. He dropped a paint can and ran away." And the cook says, "I was wearing my earphones and frying chicken wings in the kitchen, so I didn't notice anything suspicious." Who's lying? The cook. It's a vegan restaurant. Why would he fry chicken wings? After getting exposed, the cook pushes Tyler away and escapes from the restaurant. Tyler follows him. The cook hides in a carnival tent. He puts on a costume to blend in with the crowd. Can you help Tyler find him? There he is. It was raining heavily outside, so his shoes got wet. Tyler is walking around the park and spots 4 weird details. Can you see them too? This teddy bear has 3 ears. There's no July 34th. There's pink ice cream inside the chocolate ice cream box. And this old lady is carrying a crocodile in a stroller. There are 3 fortune tellers working in the amusement park: Zelda, Salma, and Freya. One of them is an imposter. Can you decide who? Salma has an earphone in her ear, which probably means that someone is helping her when she tells fate. Later that night, Tyler finds Zelda lying unconscious at her workplace. There's a weird note in her hand. Tyler calls the doctors and the police. He also finds out that Zelda had only 5 customers that night: Alex, Rick, Emma, Rose, and Zoe. Can you figure out who's guilty? Rose. There's a tricky hint hidden in this note. Q plus 1 is R, N plus 1 is O, R plus 1 is S, and D plus 1 is E. Tyler spends all morning in his office. Then he leaves it for a couple of hours to have lunch with Mary. When Tyler gets back, he finds out that someone had robbed him. How? These 6 items are missing. Tyler is checking out these clowns' makeup before their performance. Can you spot the odd one out? It's this guy. He's the only one who has eyebrows. What about these houses? Can you find the odd one out? Yup, it's this one. Tyler receives 4 new tents. Unfortunately, one of them has a slightly different design. Can you spot which one? The second tent doesn't belong here. Tyler wants to improve the scary tunnel, so he gathers all actors playing ghosts and monsters for a brief team building. But there are real monsters and ghosts among Tyler's employees. Can you spot them? This guy is too transparent for a human. He's a ghost. And huge claws cut through this guy's sneakers, so he's probably a werewolf. Tyler wins a cute teddy bear for Mary. They get distracted for a second and then see that the toy is gone. They look around and find 3 suspects. Can you guess who is a thief? Although this lady is holding a similar teddy bear, it still has a different bow. This guy is carrying a box, and judging by his posture, it's hard for him to carry it, so it's probably really filled with heavy stuff. And the third guy's guitar is outside the bag, which means he can be hiding the teddy bear inside the guitar case. Tyler throws an epic party at the amusement park. All guests are treated to free food and drinks. In the middle of the party, all the guests begin to fall asleep right on the dance floor. The next day, doctors check all the food and drinks from the party, and everything is perfectly fine. Can you guess what happened here? These balloons were filled with sleeping gas. In the middle of the party, they burst and made the guests fall asleep.
Two famous film producers are having breakfast in an expensive restaurant. They're discussing the budget for a sequel to a very successful movie that got $500 million at the box office. They're talking very quietly since they mention important details of the script. They suspect that someone might overhear them. The producers are right. Some curious people are indeed eavesdropping on their conversation. Find them. There's a guy at the next table holding a magazine upside down. Obviously, he isn't reading it. That girl over there is a journalist. There's a camera lens sticking out of her backpack. See? And that man is eating a salad, but you can notice a microphone hidden in his long hair. 3 people are standing in line in front of an ice cream truck. The first guy is taking a cone from the vendor. The guy behind him is nervous. His hands are in his pockets. The third guy is looking at something through binoculars. Which one of them is a police officer? Look at the first guy. He's got a police radio in his pocket. A biker was traveling along a country road when he heard a scream. A woman was calling for help. She seemed to be in the forest. The biker rode in her direction and saw 3 girls among the trees. They were all begging him to save them from a vampire. "But which of you is the vampire?" the man asked. "It's her!" All the girls screamed and pointed at one another. How could the biker find out who was human? There are 2 side mirrors on the motorcycle. The biker needed to turn the handlebars and check which girl reflected in them. Mary opens her eyes and realizes that she's somewhere unknown. The last thing she remembers is walking in the park and then darkness. There's a lot of garbage in the room. A red lamp is flashing on the ceiling. Mary can leave through the door. It's open. But wait, she needs to take some useful stuff from the room. She can only choose 2 items. Which ones? Mary needs to get scuba gear and a mask. Look at that small window. Fish are swimming by. Mary is underwater. There are 4 inmates in this prison cell, and they all look pretty hardened to me. Well, all but one. There's a newbie here. Can you guess who it is? You might have thought on the desperate guy, but look, there are 5 dashes on the wall next to him. He's been in prison for some time already. The new guy is opposite him, with no dashes at all. Alex returns to his top-floor apartment after a workout at the gym. When he's having lunch, water utility workers come and knock on his door. They say the ceiling in Alex's apartment is about to collapse because his neighbors forgot to turn off a faucet. And now, they're flooding the building. They ask the guy to evacuate immediately. Alex closes the door and calls the police. Why? He lives on the top floor. No one can flood him. Annie just got a new motorbike she's been dreaming about for years. In the morning, she polished it for her evening bike ride, closed the garage, and went to work. In the evening, she opened the garage and found that her motorbike was gone. She questioned 3 neighbors. Adrian said, "When I went grocery shopping at noon, the motorbike was still in your garage." Angela said that she'd left before sunrise and had just returned home. Kate said that she hadn't paid any attention to Annie's house. She'd been worried about her job interview. Who stole the bike? Adrian. He said that he'd seen the bike in the garage, but it couldn't be true because it had been closed. There was a grand ball organized in honor of Miss Parsons' birthday, and half of the town was invited. Suddenly, the lights in the entire building went off for a couple of minutes. When the lights came back on, Miss Parsons' beautiful diamond earrings were missing. The main suspect was her distant cousin, Sylvia. But the girl said that she'd been in the bathroom fixing her makeup. She didn't even notice the lights had gone out because she'd been busy. Who's lying, Miss Parson or Sylvia? The lights went out in the entire building. If Sylvia had been fixing her makeup, she would have definitely noticed that something was wrong. Adele found her friend Oliver on the floor in his studio in the attic. She called the police. The officer who came asked the girl to tell him what had happened. Adele said that she'd been walking past Oliver's house and noticed that the lights were on. She came up to the window, peeked inside, and saw him on the floor. She called the police and ran into the house. The officer didn't believe her. Do you? No, it doesn't sound right. The guy was in the attic. Adele couldn't possibly see him through the window. One rainy evening, Martha came home and found that someone had eaten her chocolate bar. She asked her siblings who had done that. Laura said that she'd been working out in her room and she didn't even eat sweets. Ashley said that she would never eat someone else's chocolate. Luna said that she'd been outside watering plants in the garden. She had just come home herself. Who lied? I'd say it was Luna. It was raining outside, so she didn't really need to water the plants. Colette always wanted to get a cat, but her mom wouldn't allow her. Once, the girl found a kitten in the street and brought it home. She decided to hide the animal from her mom. Still, one morning, Colette's mom walked into her daughter's room and realized a cat lived there. How did she figure it out? Colette was wearing shorts and she had scratches on her legs. Jenny was locked in her room with 15 other people. Each of them could see the entire room with all the people inside without turning their head or body or moving in any other way. To get out of the room, Jenny had to place an apple in such a way that everyone but one person could see it. The girl managed to do it, but how? She put the apple on top of one person's head. An old sailor hauled a treasure chest from the seabed. As soon as he took one gold coin from there, a pirate appeared in front of him.
"How dare you touch my treasures?"
the pirate said.
"You're doomed to spend half of your life at sea and the other half on land."
The sailor is old and he doesn't know how much time he has left to live. How can he spend half of his remaining life in the water? He can do it if he spends one day at sea and another day on land. A teacher informed his students that there was just one question they had to answer to pass the exam. He took a shiny billiard ball out of his briefcase and put it on the desk.
"Prove this ball doesn't exist,"
the teacher said. By the end of the exam, all students wrote their answers, yet none of them passed, but one. That only student who wrote 2 words on their sheet of paper and got the passing grade. What did they write? What ball? You're walking through a dark forest and notice a door. It's just standing there by itself. You open it, take a step, and find yourself in a wonderful pink world. There are pink rivers and pink trees there. You see a 1-story pink house and go inside. All the furniture is pink. A meowing pink cat is walking around. You walk down the corridor to the stairs leading to the 2nd floor. What color is this staircase? There are no stairs in the house. It's a 1-story building, remember?
Look at this image. What is wrong here? Fire trucks are usually red, not green. Great job! Now, how about this picture? There are no butterflies in the winter. And one more image for you. Look at these people. Do you notice anything strange? These guys seem to be playing tennis, but they are using a tiny football. Two people were born at the same moment, but they don't celebrate their birthdays on the same day. How is it possible? They were born in different time zones, and in one of these zones, it was already the next day. Captain Jack was an infamous and feared pirate who had robbed thousands of ships with the help of a small trick. It allowed him to approach any ship from any country easily and get close enough to grapple it without any problems. What was this trick? Captain Jack had a collection of flags from different countries. Instead of using Jolly Roger, fearsome black flag, he raised the flag of the country the nearing ship was from, and it got him immediate access. A man was in a 9-story building when a fire started. He jumped out of the window, and he didn't get any injuries. How is it possible? The man was on the first floor when he jumped out of the window. Look at these people. One of them is from the future. Can you figure out who it is? Be very attentive. Right, it's this guy. He's got a smartphone in his pocket. Now this looks like a regular picnic in the park, but one of these people is a time traveler. Who is it? It's the guy with the USB port in his arm. At this party, there is a person who came from a different epoch. Your task is to find them. It's this person wearing a chainmail armor. Poor thing, he must be sweating under all this metal. Mark got locked in a basement. There were no windows, only a door with a letter combination lock. What could probably give him some hint was a note he found in the corner. What is the code word? Mark managed to get out of the basement. The code word was SMART. The key to this riddle was hidden in the alphabet. P plus 3 letters is S, N minus 1 letter is M, and so on. Lisa woke up in the morning and found out that quite a large sum of money was missing from her purse. Her husband was on a business trip, so the person who had taken the money could only be one of her 3 kids. Her daughter Karen, who was 17, her 15-year-old son Christopher, or her 20-year-old son David. Lisa asked her children what they had been doing the previous evening. Karen said that she had gone to bed right after dinner because she had had a headache. Christopher said that he had gone to a nightclub with his best friend Rick. And David answered that he had had his football practice. Lisa immediately knew who had taken the money. What about you? Christopher is lying. He's only 15, so he couldn't get into the club. Melanie invited her colleague Maria for dinner. Maria was surprised. She thought Melanie didn't like her, but the hostess prepared a very nice meal. She even cooked tuna for both of them. She cut the fish in half, and each of them ate their portions. Some time later, Maria paled and lost consciousness. She was taken to a hospital. It was bad food poisoning. Several days later, police arrested Melanie for trying to poison Maria. But how did she do it? The women ate the same dishes. The poison was on one side of the knife Melanie used to cut the fish. This way, only the piece of tuna she gave Maria was poisoned. 5 costs $25 and 25 $50. If you buy 255, you'll pay $75. What is it that you buy, and how much does one item cost? You're buying door numbers, and one digit costs $25. You are sailing around the world on your yacht when you get caught in a terrible storm. At one point, you hit your head against the mast and lose consciousness. When you come round, you find yourself on a beach, surrounded by unfriendly-looking locals. It turns out that they dislike foreigners. They offer you 3 options. They can send you to a cave filled with tarantulas. They can throw you into a pit filled with yellow scorpions. Or you can meet several hungry lions. What option should you choose to survive? Opt for tarantulas. They are mostly harmless to people. Michelle received a message from the building security that a dangerous criminal had sneaked into the office where she worked. She needed to get out of there as soon as possible. She was running towards the elevators when both of them simultaneously opened their doors. Inside, there were suspicious-looking guys. Which elevator should Michelle opt for? Michelle should run to the second elevator. The criminal has just entered the building. He can't be coming from upstairs. You've been driving for hours, but there's still no sign of civilization. Eventually, you have to admit that you've got lost. You are tired, thirsty, hungry, and have no money to buy anything. Suddenly, on the side of the road, you see 4 doors. Behind the first door, there is plenty of drinking water. The second door hides a lot of tasty food. Behind the third door, there is a cozy hotel room with a comfortable bed. And if you open the fourth door, you'll see piles of cash. Which door will you choose to open first? The first door you should open is the door of your car. In the morning, Paul went out of his house and saw something strange in his garden. There were several pieces of coal, a carrot, and a scarf lying there. There was a fence around Paul's property, so nobody could put those objects there. How did they turn up in the middle of the lawn? It was warm at night, and a snow person that had been standing there melted. Detective Lucas Brown was invited to Long Road College, as more and more thefts occurred there. In a week's time, the man had 3 suspects. "What were you doing when the last theft happened?" he asked each of them. Thomas said, "I was away on that day. I had to drive my younger sister to her music lesson." Amanda replied, "I spent that day in the library, getting ready for my presentation." Ryan said, "I'm going to Denmark with my parents this summer. That's why I spend all my free time learning Dutch." Lucas immediately understood who was lying. Can you figure it out? It was Ryan. They speak Danish in Denmark. Dutch is the official language of Netherlands. 4 prisoners took up art classes. They studied every Monday. Guards escorted them to the art room and searched the prisoners at the end of every lesson. All the prisoners had their own art supplies, which they kept inside their cells. The question is, which of them has more chances to escape? Your time is over, and the answer is this prisoner. He can use his supplies to paint his clothes green. This way he'll look like a guard and will be able to sneak out of jail. Criminals kidnapped 3 bank workers to get secret financial information from them. The bankers were locked in a basement with only one window high above the floor. The men decided that at least one of them had to escape and warn the police. The men stood on each other's shoulders, but the one on top still couldn't reach the window. What can they do to escape? The tallest of them should climb on top. And since this man also has longer arms, he will manage to reach the window.
Yeah.